Welcome to ComSpark. Today we're in Dayton, Ohio. My name is Jim Armentrout, and I will be your guest commentator. With me is Andy Lehman from Kettering Health Network. Morning, Andy. How are you?
Jim. Good. How are you?
Good. Good. Appreciate your time today. Got a few questions I want to run through with you to get your input. What is your level of interaction with different business units within the overall organization?
So Kettering Health Network's a pretty big organization, as you would expect, with 9 hospitals now, many physician practices spread out across the Dayton region, freestanding ERs, imaging centers. Our footprint is big, and we have lots of stakeholders and constituents for IT, as you would imagine.
Yep.
So in order for me to really advance the strategies of the network, I need to spend lots of time and lots of energy with the leaders of the different units, if you will. So whether that is executives at hospitals, whether that is network executives who are thinking about service lines, which provide services across the hospitals and independent facilities, all of them are key stakeholders in my world. And I need to understand where they're trying to go, because I think, as we all realize, certainly in healthcare and most other industries, IT is part and parcel to the successful strategies that we deploy. So I'm spending a lot of time there.
Do you initiate a lot of that contact?
I do. It's a pretty good give and take, but I try to be as proactive in terms of engaging those stakeholders as I can.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I heard you, not too recently, celebrated 50 years in business as a hospital in the area. So
Sure.
that's a big milestone.
We've grown significantly since
Yes,
one
you
hospital.
have.
That's
Yes,
for sure.
you have.
So.
Yeah. What are the favorite sources of information, and how important is local networking to you?
So healthcare is a pretty dynamic industry right now. And we all know IT is a very dynamic industry. And I live at the intersection of those two industries. So in terms of sources of information, for me to stay on top and enable the strategies, as I just mentioned, I have to understand healthcare and what we're trying to accomplish with our strategies associated with healthcare, while at the same time understanding what's going on in the technology world and how can we marry those technologies into whatever strategies we're trying to execute. So I sort of have two sources, or two big sort of bases of information, if you will. On the healthcare side, certainly conferences, certainly just trade magazines, emails that I subscribe to that really speak to the evolution of healthcare. And in some ways, it's the same on the IT side. For example, I'm a member of the organization called CHIME, which is the College of Healthcare Information Management Executives. And they have a conference every year that I go to, which talks about IT as it relates to healthcare. Yeah. So it's really sort of common sources across both of those, but there's a lot to stay on top of.
Yeah, that would be nice to marry the two together in one place, right?
Yeah.
So what healthcare topics do you find most stressful?
I think security is certainly near the top of the list, if not at the top of the list, just because we really view the interaction with our patients as sacred work inside Kettering, and the information associated with that we have to protect, and we have to make sure that we're doing everything we can to take care of our patients, part of which means taking care of their information and healthcare information. So that's always at the top. There's a lot of people looking to do illegal things to get that information. So we have to protect that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah. So on the flip side, what's the most comforting?
I think one of the most comforting aspects of my job is knowing that the service that we provide helps people when they're absolutely at their most vulnerable. If you think about what happens in an exam room with a physician, 99% of that, if you lifted that outside of the exam room and did it on the street, would be criminal. Yet we allow that to occur. We allow that interaction to occur when people are as vulnerable as they can be and are really in need of help. And our IT solutions facilitate and enable a better experience for that patient. And that gives me great comfort that regardless of all of the stress and pressure that we feel, ultimately what we're doing makes a big difference in people's lives.
It's a great perspective. Where do you see the next wave of innovation coming from for healthcare delivery?
There's a lot of catalysts occurring to change healthcare. We all know it's growing too fast in terms of expense. We all know that can't be sustained. Our government is really trying to drive change by changing economic incentives, and naturally that is going to create huge disruptors in the industry. But at the same time, you see venture capitalists just pouring money into healthcare IT startups right now to try and disrupt the care delivery.
Yeah.
So you sort of see a macro force in terms of our government as a major payer, and then you see lots and lots of small innovation occurring across startups, essentially, trying to move into the space and make the experience better for the patient. So it's sort of a combination of those things.
Yeah, and it is ripe for innovation.
Oh, yeah.
Andy, thank you so much for your time. For more information, please visit ComSpark.tech.